How rain forms remained a great mystery for a long time. Only after weather radar was invented was it possible to discover the stages by which rain is formed. According to this, the formation of rain takes place in 3 stages. First, the raw material of rain rises up into the air with the wind. Later, clouds are formed, and finally raindrops appear. The Qur'an's account of the formation of rain refers exactly to this process. In one verse, this formation is described in this way.
It is God who sends the winds which stir up clouds which he spreads about the sky however he wills. He forms them into dark clumps, and you see the rain come pouring out from the middle of them. When he makes it fall on those of his slaves he wills, they rejoice.
Now, let us examine these 3 stages outlined in the verse more technically. First stage. Countless air bubbles formed by the foaming of the oceans continuously burst and cause water particles to be ejected towards the sky. These particles, which are rich in salt, are then carried away by winds and rise upward in the atmosphere. These particles, which are called aerosols, function as water traps and form cloud drops by collecting around the water vapor themselves, which rises from the seas as tiny droplets. Second stage. The clouds are formed from water vapor that condenses around the salt crystals or dust particles in the air. Because the water droplets in these clouds are very small, with a diameter between 0.01 and 0.02 millimeters, the clouds are suspended in the air and spread across the sky. Thus, the sky is covered in clouds. Third stage. The water particles that surround salt crystals and dust particles thicken and form raindrops, so, drops that become heavier than the air leave the clouds and start to fall to the ground as rain. As we have seen, every stage in the formation of rain is related in the verses of the Qur'an. Furthermore, these stages are explained in exactly the right sequence. Just as with many other natural phenomena on the earth, God gives the most correct explanation of this phenomenon as well and made it known to people in the current centuries before it was discovered. In another verse, the following information is given about the formation of rain.
Have you not seen how God drives along the clouds, then joins them together, then makes them into a stack, and then you see the rain come out of it? And he sends down from the sky mountain masses of clouds with cold hail in them, striking with it anyone he wills and averting it from anyone he wills. The brightness of his lightning almost blinds the sight.
In one verse of the Qur'an, the fecundating characteristic of the winds and the formation of rain as a result are mentioned.
And we send the fecundating winds, then cause water to descend from the sky, therewith providing you with water in abundance.
In this verse, it is pointed out that the first stage in the formation of rain is wind. Until the beginning of the 20th century, the only relationship between the wind and the rain that was known was that the wind drove the clouds. However, modern meteorological findings have demonstrated the fecundating role of the wind in the formation of rain. This fecundating function of the wind works in the following way. On the surface of oceans and seas, countless air bubbles form because of the water's foaming action. The moment these bubbles burst, thousands of tiny particles, with a diameter of just 1/100th of a millimeter, are thrown up into the air. These particles, known as aerosols, mix with dust carried from the land by the wind and are carried to the upper layers of the atmosphere. These particles carried to higher altitudes by winds come into contact with water vapor up there. Water vapor condenses around these particles and turns into water droplets. These water droplets first come together and form clouds, and then fall to the earth in the form of rain. As seen, winds fecundate the water vapor floating in the air with the particles they carry from the sea, and eventually help the formation of rain clouds. If winds did not possess this property, water droplets in the upper atmosphere would never form, and there would be no such thing as rain. Another information reported in the verse about the fecundating aspect of winds is the role of winds in the fertilization of plants. Many plants on Earth provide the continuation of their species by dispersing their pollen through the wind. Many open-seeded plants, pines, palms and similar trees, as well as all seeded plants that give flowers, and all grasses, are fertilized by the winds. The wind takes flower dust from plants and carries it to other plants of the same species, performing fertilization. It was not known until recently how the wind could fecundate on plants. But when it became clear that the plants also had a gender difference, male and female, it became clear that the winds had such an fecundating effect. The most important point here is that this critical role of the wind in the formation of rain was stated centuries ago in a verse of the Quran, at a time when people knew very little about natural phenomena. One of the properties of seas that has only recently been discovered is related in a verse of the Quran as follows.
He has let loose the two seas, converging together, with a barrier between them they do not break through.
This property of the seas, that they come together yet do not mingle with one another at all, has only very recently been discovered by oceanographers. Because of the physical force called surface tension, the waters of neighboring seas do not mix. Caused by the difference in the density of their waters, surface tension prevents them from mingling with one another, just as if a thin wall were between them. The interesting side to this is that during a period when people had no knowledge of physics, surface tension, or oceanography, this was revealed in the Quran.